Hey, what's up, everybody? So, welcome back. Today, I'm super excited. The gentleman I'm bringing to the stage, I've been working with him for nearly a year now. First 7 months, we were doing, just traditional monthly packages, generating him some high intent leads through Facebook. We had a conversation in I think it was September, October. We were talking about, I was like, hey, man, I really think you should look into getting the ownership Apex package. And he was like, hey, man, like, what's that? I was like, yo, you'd save a little bit of money and you'd be able to own it yourself outright, man, and have a system not only for yourself, but for your future agents. And I know at the time he was preparing to start building, man. So gentleman's been doing 25, 30K months consistently working with us. But I brought him on here today to really tell you guys about his experience, what he's been doing, and how it's been working. So I'd like to introduce to everybody none other than my guy, Tyler Green, man. Tyler, man, appreciate you. Thank you for taking time out of your day.
Of course, man. Of course, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let's hop straight in, man. Before we go into talking about scripting, working with us, etc., can you give the people just a quick background of who you are, not necessarily where you're from, but more or less about how did you get into insurance, how long have you been in the game, etc.
Yeah. So I was basically when I got started, I was in a spot where I was 23. I was living at my mom's house and I was looking for something. I got introduced into entrepreneurship, working for yourself, and I just couldn't find the right vehicle. And I got introduced into insurance. And that was back in 2020. I got licensed and, it's been something where it was the right vehicle for me to be able to have the freedom that I was looking for and be able to make an impact and, and be based on, how much you work, how much you get paid, which I really liked because I knew I could work hard. If I worked more or if I did, if I got better, my income would increase. So that's how I got into insurance. And I've been full time in insurance since 2021. So for about coming up on 4 years full time in insurance.
Okay, got you. And a quick background, because I actually didn't even know that, bro. I guess walk me through when did you have that moment? I feel like a lot of insurance agents have that moment where, they go from doing 5, 10, 15K, whatever it is, to really start smashing it. When was that in your journey, or when did it kind of click, from a sales perspective for you?
Yeah, I think for me, well, number one, it's a culmination of a lot of things, but I'll put it down to you got to get enough reps. It's a numbers game, right? So if you don't have enough leads, you don't have enough appointments, you don't have enough appointments, you don't have enough presentations, you don't have enough presentations, you don't have enough sales, right? So it all really comes back to numbers. But I think what helped me a lot get those numbers was a combination of two things: having systems. So I got a dialing platform, like a power dialer, so I could call more leads, I could go through more numbers faster. And then the second thing was diversifying my leads, getting into some real-time Facebook leads is really when I diversified and I started having systems for myself. I was putting in the same amount of time, right? But I'm talking to higher intent leads, which if they're a higher intent lead, guess what? You don't have to call as many to get as many appointments, to get enough presentations, to get enough sales. So that was the first thing. And then also was the power dialer too, because you're obviously talking to more people faster rather than having to type in the number every time. So just being more efficient and then diversifying your lead flow and higher intent leads is really when that my production went from 10, 15K a month to 25, 30 consistently. I've sold 50K in a month before. And that's kind of when things started clicking for me.
Got you. And are you doing, just for the people that are listening, before you hop into us, before you started working with us, were you just doing final expense? Were you doing mortgage, IUL? What was your...
I did mostly final expense. I dabbled in mortgage, but mostly final expense is where I really, figured it out.
Okay, gotcha. And then now I want to fast forward, what made you work with us when we first met? Because I actually don't know this. What made you pull the trigger to kind of start working with us? How did you hear about us? Just a little bit of backstory from the people.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of talk about your progression.
Yeah, I just, going to the conventions, because I'm pretty sure you're at the annual convention. And I'm pretty sure I had got your information from through somebody. I honestly don't exactly remember how we got linked up. I think it was someone on our team talked with you. I don't even know if they did, if they ended up working with you or not, but I ended up getting connected with you. And then we spoke on the phone. And then that was when I just was getting into high intent final expense Facebook leads. And I had another vendor that they were just they actually screwed over a couple people that I was working with, and I was using them at the time. They didn't screw me over, but I was like, man, I just don't, I need to diversify. I need to look for something else. And so then and that timing happened when I got introduced with you, and then that's how we kind of got linked up.
Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
100%. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember being at that convention and I met a lot of people. I know like a few people on your team on, and then I
Yeah.
had a relationship went up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
I met you and it was like you just were the one person in the group that just absolutely took off, man. So
Mm-hmm.
if you could for the people, like walk people through your first, if you remember like your first month or few months kind of working with us, what was the biggest difference between previous people you had worked with and then kind of working with us at first when you
Yeah.
first?
Yeah, I think what you guys do really well is you guys have like a team. Like you guys have a full team, right? That are actually gonna be communicating with you, helping you. And that was a big difference because I think before it was just like I don't even like there was not even a face or like a communication. It was like, hey, you buy the leads and you get an email with like, okay, here's a script and here's what it is. I actually got on the phone with you. I got on the phone with your assistant, right? And we were able to talk, and you guys kind of figured out what was important to me. And it was just more of that kind of personal touch and that more of that connection, that communication, which I think goes a really long way, especially in our business, because that, kind of makes you guys different. And it makes you really, it makes you trust things a lot more with this. So it's easy to be able to, obviously like keep a good partnership when you're communicating like, hey, how is this going for you? Hey, do we need to change things? Vice versa, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that was the big thing difference with you guys was the communication for sure.
Yeah. I want you to touch on for the people the conversation we had. I think it was the summertime. Talked about getting states and that conversation
Oh yeah.
about expanding. Could you kind of elaborate for people? Because you touched on the point that I want to elaborate is, we don't just we do lead marketing, so we give you a team. And Tyler
Mhm.
reached out to me, but I want you to explain kind of the conversation we had, the Massachusetts thing, et cetera, and kind of how that
Yeah.
came about.
Yeah. So I trust Trey, right? I always trusted you with what it is because obviously I use the leads and I was making it work. And so I remember I was going virtual. So I'm in Washington State and I was doing all in home. And I was like, man, I want to go virtual. What states do you think I should go virtual with? And you're kind of like quiet for a second. You're like, Massachusetts has just been hit. I was like, all right, I trust you, bro. Let's run it. And then Massachusetts ended up being really, really great leads out there. They were high intent, they were good, and I liked the people out there. The East Coast, it was good, and yeah. So and it was crazy. I was just like started running Massachusetts, and just crushing it with those leads, which is awesome. So that's the thing too. It's like, man, I would have maybe picked some random state or whatever, but you guys got the back end. You can take a look and you can see that what's working, what's not, and just making sure that's the best experience for all the people you're helping with the leads. So
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that, man. I
yeah,
think I tell people the secret to working with us and doing well is not your sales ability. Yes, that's important. It's not your experience. That's also important. It's
mm-hmm.
really the fact of like leveraging us as a team. The more you communicate, the more questions you
Yeah,
ask, everything can be fixed, things can be adjusted,
yeah,
right? Cost per lead and all that stuff. It goes up and down. But the one
yeah,
thing that remains true is like we have the data, so we can lead you in the direction that's going to put you in the best position to kind of be successful.
right,
So yeah, I'm happy we were able to kind of touch on that. All
yeah,
right, so fast forward, right? Or just for the people, like what were some of the best months you had with us in terms of like AP, IP? What leads
yeah.
were you running before we go into you getting into the Apex?
Yeah, yeah. So at that time, I was just running final expense leads. It was all I was doing. I was using you guys, and then like just like more age stuff too, and just diversifying. And I was selling 30K a month, 30 40K a month. Like I said, my best month was like 47 or just under 50, and you guys were definitely a large portion of that. I would say you guys are at least like probably out of my when I was diversifying with other vendors as well, it's probably like 2/3 of like the production. So yeah, so I'd say that's about what it would be.
Yeah, and I mean that sounds about right with everybody else that we have. Like 40K is right at typically where we get with all people, kind of
Yeah,
with our packages and the way that they're set up, just between like the pricing, the management fee.
yeah,
It always stays right around there. So
yeah,
that's good to hear. So now I want to take them to another conversation. So you decided to bet on yourself and
yeah,
do the Apex package. Can you kind of? I want them to hear what does that package, the ownership package that you went with, what does
yeah,
that mean to you, and why did you actually decide to make that decision, bro?
yeah. Well, if you break it down and you think about it, like if I know I'm going to buy leads from you, right? and every month. And my management fee is, my management fee with you guys is about $1,000 for like what we had going on. And then I can partner with you guys and I have agents, right? And instead of, paying the $1,000 management fee, where I can lower the management fee actually for myself and I can add agents to that and then actually own the leads that are happening. For me, it's like I already trust what it is and I already know the results. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. And I think when you start thinking about like long-term, wanting to have like a real business and actually be able to help your agency, that's why it was kind of, it was honestly a no-brainer for me too, because it's like I already know I'm going to buy the lead, so it's eventually going to pay for itself. You know what I mean? In a sense too, and then be able to help out agents, and then also too, like you are, creating your own kind of agency, your own business in a sense of the way that you can also, like I have people right now that are not even in my hierarchy that are getting leads from me just because of the quality. And, you as a business owner can obviously, make a profit if that's what you want to do, helping other people with their leads. Right. And so, yeah, so I mean, like I said, I've been in the industry now full time for like 4 years. So I've seen lead companies come and go. And I've seen, the quality do this and that. But I would say, consistently, at least from what I've been working with you guys, I mean, I think it's been at least a year. I think it's been at least a year looking back at it, and it's always been solid. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that, man. And I want to highlight something that you said, that business model is very selfless. Like, and I want them to know, like, we had that conversation, once you do the apex and you get to the end of it, like, I don't force you to continue to work with us. I mean it when I say, like,
yeah,
we're taking 3 months to build this thing for you. And like, I need you to feel very confident. Like, he would not sit here and have to say, I didn't even know that, by the way, bro. Like, that other people would be coming to you and for you to be able to turn a profit. And I genuinely don't ask for anything in return. Like, there are no strings attached. Like, you are fully sufficient. And I just believe in my heart of hearts, like, that will pay dividends down the line for other people, because whether you do business to me or people know you, as long as I'm continuing to do what I set out to do when I first started doing this, which was like truly agents. If I hope you have a system that helps your agency reduce the cost and the quality is still there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the reward for you kind of like betting on yourself. Right. So I want to hop into something I think is really underplayed, and I think you'll be the perfect person. Can you talk about the mindset of working leads just in general, right?
Yeah.
Let's touch on aged real quick. I know you really worked our aged leads, but just in general, you touch on, let's say I'm a brand new agent. Mm-hmm. I just bought 100 aged leads from Agent Lead Lab. Just in general.
Yep.
What would you say an agent's expectation needs to be with working aged leads? How frequently should they call them? What should they expect? The floor is kind of yours.
Yeah. Gotcha. So what's funny is actually we had an agent in our office. I won't say her name, but she just got leads from you guys. She got some aged final expense leads, like whatever it was, like a week ago. She set some appointments. I think she maybe closed one. But what I told her, because I was like, I've been working with, training you guys for a while, and I haven't maybe necessarily worked the aged ones, but I've been working with you guys for a while, so that my stuff I got, 3-4 months ago is now kind of like aged, right? And I still call those leads all the time, right? So what I would say is your expectation needs to be, they're not all going to be, sales, obviously, right? They're leads. And it's important to know, you have to understand what you're getting is with the beneficiary on there. That is like your anchor to like everything, right? So your mindset has to be when you're calling these people is like, they literally put the name of the person they want to protect on there. So they were definitely interested in this at some point. So you can't let them try to convince you otherwise. And you have to always come back to that anchor of the beneficiary, because at the end of the day, that's who they're doing it for. So as long as you can get across that it's about the final expense programs and you marked blank as your beneficiary, as long as you can get that out, I think that you're doing your part with the aged leads to make sure that you're making the most of each lead. So until the person on the other side of the phone understands that it's about final expense, take care of costs like burial, cremation, and that you put your beneficiaries this, you did a good job getting through those, if that makes sense, like getting the most of those leads. Because if you can do that, trust me, you will find people that didn't get it taken care of, or it was a bad time when they first looked at it, or that it was too expensive the first time they looked at it. You can be the agent that's actually gonna be able to help them out. So yeah, that's what I would say. You got to have the mindset of like, hey, they definitely looked for it. They definitely did. They put the name down, right? So
100%.
yeah,
Okay. And to shift gears, now let's talk about working new leads,
yeah,
right? That's all you've been working since you work with us. And obviously now you have your own system.
right,
Expectations, mindset of working new leads for an agent they're basically you from last year. They're starting with the leasing model. They're just working
yeah,
with weekly or monthly basis.
hmm
What would you say to them?
yeah. So this is what I would say 100% is you have to give it time for the leads to accumulate, right? So you might get really lucky in the first 5 leads you get a sale, but I would keep the mindset, because if you're going like for like a full month, right? We're talking like month to month,
A month or week to week. You can give them both of them.
months of work. Here's what I would recommend. I would recommend you guys do a full month before you give any type of judgment to the leads, because and this is what literally just happened with one of the agents that I brought on. Is the first week you're kind of, especially if you've never worked these types of leads before, you're kind of getting the hang of things. You're kind of, it's when you're working with high intent people, you almost don't have to try and like sell them as much. You're kind of just being the person that's going to connect them, and that it's just your job to do it, not of like you don't come from like a needy place, if that makes sense. So and they can kind of tell that, because the intent is higher. You don't have to try and convince them as much. You just got to figure out what the problem is, and then hey, this is how we're going to solve the problem. And so I would approach it like that. And then also don't judge the leads until at least like 2 to 3 weeks in, because I know in my case, like sometimes you got to make a couple adjustments, and it goes back to communication. Like I would talk to, the media buyer Trey, like, hey man, these are coming back as either like a bad number, or these guys over here, these ones aren't answering from this area, or whatever it is. And you can make tweaks as you're kind of going. And then also I had an agent, right? They were 2 weeks in, they didn't make their first sale yet from it. And I'll just tell them like, man, you just need to keep calling through the leads, because understand guys too, you're accumulating leads every day, right? If you're getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leads every day, well, now you have those leads and the day from the day before and from the day before. And then eventually you're calling the whole list every single day as it's coming in. And then eventually you get to a spot where you've got like 40, 50, 60 leads. Then at that point, that's when stuff's going to start closing. Like for him, then he closed one. It was like 4 days ago, he closed one. And then the next day he closed his next one. And the next day he closed his next one. Right. So he went from 2 weeks, no sales. And then on the second week, on the first day, sale. Second week on the second day, sale. Second week on the third day, sale. Right. Back to back to back. So if you would have judged it on the first week and been like, man, this doesn't work, he wouldn't have had those 3 sales. You know what I'm saying? And then he still has leads coming in for the next, about 2 weeks. And at that point, it's pretty much just all profit, right? So don't judge the leads too soon. I would say you got to give it 2-3 weeks of really working the leads to really know if it's going to be like a good fit for you, is what I would say.
Yeah, no, great point. I want to touch on something. Working leads.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go into too much detail. How do you work your leads? Do you call them in batches? Do you call in the morning, afternoon, evening? Do you triple dial?
Mm-hmm.
What's your strategy you recommend for new agents?
Yeah, I personally, I double dial. I start with the most newest lead that came in, and then I work myself up the list. I would call them in the morning, I call them in the afternoon, and I call them in the evening. Different times of the day, you're going to get different people. Some people, they work graveyard. Some people, they're up super early. And it just depends. So you want to make sure you're calling at different times of the day to just maximize the amount of people that are going to pick up the phone and that you're going to get the chance to do a presentation for. So I work from the newest, most excited person up the list. And that's pretty much what I'll do every single day. And then eventually, like maybe say I'm like 2 weeks in, I'll maybe start at the top of the list, and then I'll work from the top of the list down and kind of switch it up. But as long as you're consistently dialing the leads at different times, you should get people that are going to be able to pick up. And what's crazy too is like you might not get somebody that answers for the first 2 weeks. And on that third week, they pick up and they end up being interested and want it, right? So you got to just be persistent and be consistent with what you're doing.
I'm happy you hit that on the head, because I tell people that. And They don't listen to me, bro. So
Yeah.
I try to tell them, like, bro, I've been doing this for a long time, and
Yeah.
I've been working with a lot of agents that know what they're doing to be successful, and like that's just what it takes, man.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, how do I say this? Underestimated.
Yeah.
There are certain requirements that are necessary for you to work leads properly, even if they're new, right?
Right.
And I think that's where the misconception comes that people think, oh, they're new, so everybody should pick up, know exactly what it is, be ready on that spot and ready to happen. And like that's not reality, right? We would just be
Right.
putting money if that was the case. Uh,
Right. Exactly.
okay, so real quick, this is just for people. I don't actually know this. So would you be open to doing, and we can finish with this one unless you have something else to say, a quick phone script? I want to just see like an intro, final expense phone script. I'll be the
Yeah.
person. You could take it as far as you want to. You could just do the intro, whatever.
Yeah.
But would you be down to do that for the people? Because I know they always
Yeah.
ask.
No, for sure. For sure. And this phone script, guys, like this script can work for any lead type. It's really, I use the same script for mortgage, but just instead of it's just a couple tweaks. You're just talking about the mortgage, not the, but it's the same idea. But yeah, let's do it. We'll do the final expense one for sure.
All right, let's roll.
Okay, cool. All right, ring ring.
Hello.
Hey Trey.
Yes.
Hey Trey, what's going on? My name's Tyler. I was just getting back with you here in regards to that request you sent over to us. Looks like it was on Facebook. It was looking at the final expense programs that you put down. John as your beneficiary. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. So my job, I'm just the underwriter assigned to get this out to you here. I just had to verify a couple things you had listed down here so I could get you that information out here, Trey. I had, it looks like a date of birth here as blank, blank, blank. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's me.
Perfect. And then the current address on file here, the 123 Main Street. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah. What is this about again?
Yeah. So this is in regards to the request that was sent over to us. Usually, Trey, when folks send these over, they just want to make sure that, there's no burdens left behind, like cost of like a burial or cremation, or sometimes they just want to leave some money behind for their family if something was to happen. Is that kind of the same thing you were looking at?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember what it is you're talking about now.
Gotcha. Okay. And was your main concern taking care of the cost of like a cremation or burial, or was it more to like leave money behind for family?
Yeah, I told my cousin John, man, don't bury me, man. Just cremate me.
No, no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, it's definitely the cheaper way to go too. So, well, I'll have you off here pretty quick. Let me just verify a few things here. Are you a smoker, non-smoker?
I'm a smoker.
Smoker. Gotcha. And are you working right now? You retired, disabled?
I'm working.
Working. Gotcha. Awesome. And then for your beneficiary here, John, is that your son or who's John?
That's my cousin.
Your cousin John. Got it. Okay, I got you. Okay, I'll mark that down here. Okay. And so the good news is these are all the non-medical programs here, Trey. So what that means is they aren't going to require you to do any like blood work, urine samples, doctor's appointments, or anything like that. All they do is they just make me, the medical underwriter, go through those health questions with you on the phone. And then we can check with our network about 20 different carriers in the state, which one will get you the best rates on those. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper. I'll just have you take down some information so I can go over this here with you.
All right, sounds good. There you roll. Nah, man, that's money, man. I didn't. That's my first time ever hearing your script too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much spot on. So yeah, I mean, key points. You said Facebook. You utilize the beneficiary tonality. Very, very calm. Very, very relaxed. Very paced enough to where it would be hard for me to hang up on you because you're not talking so fast, but you're also not talking super slow. It's like just enough to I'm like, what is this person calling me about?
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's super helpful. So yeah, man, I mean, that's really all I got. I guess my last thing is the floor is yours. If you're talking to somebody who's never worked with us before, what would you tell them? Just kind of whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I think it's really important to diversify your leads and have some sort of like real time, like Facebook leads coming in. Definitely changed my business, especially working with Trey and Agent Lead Lab. What I would recommend is if you guys are going to do it, don't do a week, don't do 2 weeks, don't do 3 weeks. Like do like a full month and put as much as you can into it, right? What I mean by that is if you can do the highest package, I don't even know exactly what the package are. I haven't even really looked right in a little bit. I don't even know what it is, but if you can bite the bullet and do the highest package, it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. Even if you start with the lower one, like that's fine, but really give it like a good go and do it for a full month to really know if it's going to be something for you. And you should know after that first like full month, you should know if it's going to be something that's going to integrate well with your business. the main things are just going to be coachable and just make sure, you guys have a script, you guys have all the resources, and just communicate. If you communicate and, you can make adjustments as you go, and you just work hard and just show up, do everything we're talking about, you guys should have success with it. All my agents that really like take it serious and really do it find success with it. And some weeks might not be great, right? But that's just the nature of the business, right? That's in the business we are in. But if you want people that actually did fill it out, that do remember filling it out at some point, and will let you go through a presentation with them, these leads should definitely get you there. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed my business. So I wouldn't be partnered with you, obviously, if not. So
Yeah, no, man, 100%, bro,
yeah,
100%. Man, I really appreciate you hopping on this call today, man. It really means a lot to me. I know we've been in communication for a while, and I'm excited to have you on here for sure. So I appreciate your time today. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you guys need anything, let us know. And outside of that, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.